Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skowalski of RE/MAX Lakes, and welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. And, we are past Memorial Day weekend, which...
We made it. We survived.
Yes, and that's the kickoff of summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unofficial kickoff of summer. It's also, really, it's like the kickoff of the hot real estate season.
Yeah. Normally the market speeds up then.
Yeah.
I don't know how it can go any faster.
Yeah, but
than it has
been, right.
But, I just figured it was a good time to talk about where we at through 5 full months.
Okay.
And the vaccine came into play. More and more people are getting vaccinated. You're seeing some restrictions lifted. More and more folks with no masks.
Right, yeah, pretty much. Wherever I go, I would have to, last weekend I went to Indy 500, and so they're walking around with signs saying wear masks. It was less than 10% were actually wearing masks. So,
Well, we were up in Michigan, and I would say up there, a majority of the folks, no masks.
Yeah.
A majority. I don't know percentage-wise, but majority of the people were out there enjoying life. The restaurants are open. People are finally getting out and about. It's good to see.
Yeah, it feels good.
It definitely feels good. But, the real estate market has continued to be warm, and the stats are going to play that out. So for the, we always talk about the county and then 46580, only 46580 because it eliminates a lot of the lake market. It's the highest population center in the county. So for the county, number sold is up 13% year over year.
Wow.
Even more interesting, the volume sold is up 46% year over year.
That's just...
What's that telling you? Prices are higher.
Yeah, prices are higher.
Right.
I mean, we've been talking about low inventory for a long time.
Yeah. Yep. So the average sales price is up 29%. Now again, average in a relatively small sample size, 400 units. That can be skewed, but the median sales price is up 10% year over year.
Wow.
And that's more in line with national statistics. Typically we lag a little bit. Nationally, if the whole market's up 6-7%, we're up 3-4.
Okay.
We're more in line with national statistics. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe more out-of-town buyers buying lake properties, which leads to that higher sales price throughout the county. But the same number is reflected in Warsaw. So 11% up year over year in zip code 46580 as far as units sold. Volume sold up 33% year over year. Average sales price up 20%, not quite as high as the entire county, but the median sales price up 9%.
Man, that's just...
It's just ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And, it's not sustainable, but I've been saying that for 2 years. How could we continue to do this? Well, we are. Low interest rates and pent-up demand. I mean, that's the only thing that I can apply to this whole thing is people want to be in a new house. They want to be in a different house than what they started out with, whether it's moving from an apartment or a condo or something like that to a bigger home. Who knows? But that's what we're seeing. I mean, the fact is inventory is still a challenge. For the whole county, year over year, down 17%. For Warsaw, down 8%. Year over year. So the number of properties available are still less than what we really need.
And we have talked about, I've asked the question many, many times, well, why aren't builders just like building like crazy? But just like everything else, everything is on back order. Wood prices are high, material prices are high, and then a lot of the materials, they're on back order. Because during the pandemic, they weren't, for whatever reason, they weren't processing this or that or what have you. So
whether it's material, whether it's labor, there's shortages.
Yeah.
And the biggest indication of that, and this hit me as I'm sitting in line because we go to Benton Harbor, St. Joe, and go out for breakfast. And breakfast for me is I don't eat a whole heck of a lot, but we zip through the McDonald's, and I say zip through. There is no such thing as zip through any fast food anymore.
True, right? Yeah.
I mean, and as I'm sitting in line there, I'm like, man, a year ago, or 2 years ago, I should say, we'd have been in and out of here. They get busy in peak cycles, dinner time, right around lunchtime. but my breakfast time is typically not the norm. I mean, I'm not in the peak performance time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm waiting in line 15, 20 minutes to get my sausage McMuffin and a cup of Joe.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing how everything is backed up. So the good thing, in my opinion, coming out of the pandemic is maybe we have to learn to be more patient again. Mm-hmm. How many times have you heard, well, we're out of stock? I went to Kroger to get an English cucumber. My daughter wanted to put an English cucumber. I'm used to cucumbers, right? I'm a farm kid.
Yeah.
English cucumber is what I want, Dad.
All right.
You know what? They don't have any in the store. They're out of stock.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting used to that, going into stores, going into places, and either having to wait or there being shortages. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's ordered an appliance over the last few years or the last year and a half, the wait time is ridiculous. You're 6-8 months. Why is that? Shortage of materials. Yeah. They can't produce enough freezers to keep up with demand. Mm-hmm. So, again, the positive, I'm hoping that we're learning out of this whole pandemic thing. While the real estate market is nuts, is maybe patience. Mm-hmm. Patience. Maybe be kind. Be gentle.
Yeah. Right.
So out of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, be excellent to each other is what we ought to do. Yeah. And after the break, we can talk about some other buyer trends.
All right. Sounds good. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time, and we just went over the market update. Still crazy. Real estate market.
Nuts.
Yep, still crazy. You wanted to go over some buyer trends.
Yeah. So with this hot market, and we pounded in on, you're going to probably see multiple offer situations, those kind of things. My advice to buyers is do your best offer first. Don't expect the counter. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to save money, if you're trying to save $1,000. Probably not the time to be buying today.
It's just not in this market. You're not going to do it.
This market is extremely difficult to do.
Yeah.
So just thought, and unless you're out there and buying, but I guess this is more for folks who are considering buying. We're thinking about getting into it. Well, expect that you are going to be in multiple offer, no matter what. I don't care what price range. And I got asked that question this week. Well, what price range is the hottest? And I just said all of them.
Yeah, everything.
Back in the day, there was 150 to 250 was the sweet spot in our county. Sure. I would say back in the day, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, not that long ago at all. No.
Now it's everything is going very quickly. So expect multiple offers, and there's a thing called an escalation clause. And from a listing agent standpoint, I really don't like escalation clauses, and I'll explain why in a minute, but let's define what the escalation clause does. So you as a buyer are conveying to the seller, I'm willing to pay you X for the house. Say it's $100,000.
Okay.
And I have this escalation clause that I'm going to add, and what it says is my terms are, I will be $1,000, $500, $1,500 higher than your best offer, up to a cap of $120,000. Okay. So what does that escalation clause do? So if they have another offer that's $110, and our term says we want to be $1,000 more than the next highest offer, we have now offered $111, without having to go back and forth and counter and all of that stuff.
Right.
So that's what the escalation clause does. We're seeing more and more agents using that escalation clause. Okay, now from a seller's standpoint, in order to accept that new price, because remember, they wrote an original offer that said, I'll offer you $100. I have an addendum that says I've got an escalation clause attached here. We now know we're $110, and we can prove it. We have to be able to prove that we had another offer that drove the price up to there.
Right.
Now, from a seller standpoint, I have to counter back at $111 to that buyer that wrote the offer. Now, I can tell you, I've had in 2 specific instances, the buyers got caught up in the feeding frenzy of the buying with their escalation clause and backed out. The seller then, and how do we handle a multiple offer? What can happen? The seller can accept an offer. They can counter one offer.
Okay.
They can reject all the offers.
Okay.
That's essentially what a multiple offer is. So we have 2 offers. One is 110. One is 111 with an escalation clause. I now need to counter the escalation clause offer back at 111. that buyer changes their mind and doesn't sign the counter, I don't have a deal. I'm a seller who had two interested parties at 110 and 111.
Yeah.
And now the 111 has said, nah, I'm not interested.
And then the 110 probably,
the 110,
the time frame probably ran out.
The time frame has run out, and they may or may not be interested because you've shunned me. Yeah. You've said no to me once. Yeah. Why would I come back? Now, I have to say, any of the instances that I've run into that, one party always comes back. Now, I hate to say that, knock on wood. Yeah. Fortunately, one party has come back. But it could happen that none of them do. So personally, I don't like the escalation clause.
Okay.
I mean, I get why people do. I had one that came in on a house this week that they put no cap. They did. Wow. They said they were willing to pay anything.
That's gutsy.
Very gutsy. Now, the seller did not take that offer because they knew it wouldn't appraise.
That's true.
You know, I mean why accept an offer you know is not going to appraise? Unless the buyer can show they have the funds available to pay the difference.
Yeah, pay cash.
And in this case, that wasn't where we were. So, escalation clauses, buyers should expect to see those multiple offers, those highest and best. How that works from a buyer's standpoint is the seller, you submit your offer. If the seller receives another offer, they will come back, or they could come back to everybody with written notification that we want your highest and best offer by 5 o'clock on Tuesday. And everybody then has got the option to come back highest and best, get out of the game, whatever. The challenge for the seller is when you do that, you've essentially rejected any offers you've received. So you go from having lots of buyers to no buyers when you do that.
You know, I'm seeing more a trend of, hey, we will take offers like throughout the weekend, but we will review these and have them turned in by Monday at 5 p.m. or something like that. We'll review and then and it's I've never seen that before.
Never. And I used it myself over Memorial Day weekend intentionally so I could have a breather over the weekend. My seller wanted it in the worst way.
Yeah.
They wanted to have that in the worst way, and we did. We responded on Tuesday by 5 o'clock. We did respond, and we did have multiple offers with escalation clauses. So it's crazy market, but buyers need to adapt to it. Sellers need to adapt to it as well. Both need to know the positives and negatives when they're going into this market, when they're dealing with offers like
and
that.
You just hit the key word, adapting, because that's the other thake that we've done, during this pandemic is we have adapted for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Mark, your contact information?
Sure. Our website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone numbers 574-834-1233. Check us out on YouTube. I get them up there quick as I can, but I'll get them posted. So.
All right. But you're moving fast.
We're moving fast. Yeah. We're selling property.
All right. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.